Welcome to the Wednesday Live. This is our third Wednesday of which means we have Billy Bond from Permapastures. Billy, what happened when you went out into the real world today?
Yeah, wow, it's a real shock because where I live, I don't get out much, and when you come tomorrow, Nicole's going to be coming here, where everybody's excited, and Michelle is losing her ever loving mind about what she wants to eat and all this other stuff. Anyway, I don't get out much, maybe once or twice a week at most, and so anyway, I went out and had to meet up with my partners in town to go see about some pig food, and a little bit of sticker shock because I don't get out much. I don't fill up much. And it was literally up 29 cents since about a week and a half ago. So it was almost 4.80 around here. Last time I looked at it, man, it was like just below, actually, it may be 30 cents. It was just below 4.50. And that was about a week and a half ago since I left. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is buy gas before I get near you.
There you go. I couldn't believe I accidentally wore this shirt today. He sent me a pile of shirts, and I've been working my way through them. I can't stand just, you're never going to see me buy a T-shirt off the shelf. So when it's a party with a purpose, or I can promote somebody, or I can make a statement with a shirt, which I always try to do, I was like, man, what are the odds I'm wearing this shirt as I'm going out and getting this sticker shock? And then other people are looking at me at the pump like, really, man? Speaking of John and John, the way you're looking right now, honestly, if we were to take a still photo of you, you would look like something out of Caravaggio painting from like the 1600s, man. The lights on you just perfectly. Yeah, man, it's pretty ominous.
That's where I am all day long. All day long. I just walk around in a box, and I got a dude that shines a light on me.
Yeah, it's perfect. How much do you pay the dude to follow you with the light? That's what I want to know.
Awesome.
So I was like this far away from wearing the same shirt as John today.
I didn't know what I had on until I saw you both show your shirts. I had to look at what I had on. I go
grab this
today.
I love it, but I tell you what, man, John, you got me in pain, bro. You don't know what you did. Like I said, there's a lot of flames you lit under me and William and really everybody at this house because we've been talking about you nonstop. My wife is like, so what, you're going to go out there and live with this dude now or what? I mean, because we and one of the things you started around here is, there was about a year and a half ago before, I was working out pretty steady, doing my cardio, doing all that stuff. And then I'm seeing myself in some of these interviews as of late, like with you and one with Jack Spearco. I'm sitting on that couch and I'm looking at myself and I see Jabba the Hutt. And honestly, I was watching one of your lives, and folks, anybody that's out there watching right now, you want to go check it out because this is a guy that leads by example. Same with Nicole. And I'm seeing this dude out there getting very little sleep, getting up and getting after it. And we're exactly the same age. That dude's as hard as woodpecker lips. And I'm over here I'm like, okay, man, I'm like, oh, I never in my life ever told somebody a reason why I didn't brush my teeth. So I'm going to use that same attitude when it comes to working out. And so I started, and now I'm in pain, but it's a good pain, man. So you evoked something in this household. Now William's in there, I think he's pumping iron right now. And now I'm in pain, but it's a good pain. So they say you want to be successful or more successful, emulate the people that are doing what you want to do. And I'm like, I'm looking at John. He's got some arms on him. The guy's built. And I'm like, okay, next time you see me at the next festival, I'm going to be as hard as 3 times 9. So I want to thank you and curse you all at the same time.
But you're pretty much at combat ready weight, right? I mean, it wouldn't take anything to get you where you were when you were in the Army, right? And you can spend a lot of time and chemicals and food building it, or you can just lose 5% of your body fat and look, bigger. And I'm not sure which one I ever do because I still eat ice cream and donuts and trash. So I guess I work out a little harder, but I do spend a lot of time treadmill and stuff like that. And if I'm honest with myself, I'm like, well, I'll go outside and do some things. But like, what do I really do when I'm outside? I think we're dishonest with ourselves. I mean, unless we're throwing hay bales or we're chopping wood or we're physically doing something, if you really, I think everybody would be surprised at when they're doing outdoor activities, if they videoed themselves, how little we actually are doing while we're out there doing it, right? So that's just part of the thing. It's just the accountability. It's like making the video in the morning. I take a picture while I'm on, as I'm about to get off the treadmill or the stair stepper, and post it up on, Instagram. It goes away. It's gone the next day. But I do that. It's going to be there. You know that if you go and look, it's going to be there. And real quick, Buckaroo Meat Company on there. I'll just say that one of the dudes I was mentioning in my video this morning was that dude. That's a good person right there. That guy, like, he motivates me.
Awesome. Hey, guys in the live feed, if you want to ask us questions or have a topic to suggest, do me a favor and put things in all caps for at least the first couple of words. I've got one question queued up right now that I saw that was not all caps. If you're on Billy's YouTube channel and Billy answers you, it's really me typing in his comments. So it will look like it's coming from Billy, but I don't think he's typing in his comments. So just so you don't get confused and think that doesn't sound like Billy. But let's start with this question. Which do you prefer, 50 acres 2 hours away from home or 3 acres you can live on?
Is that going to John or me?
That's
No,
you, buddy.
you get to start.
It's funny because somebody asked Joel Salatin. I was just hanging out with him this last weekend, and it was a very, very fruitful conversation, and even subsequent emails afterwards. And it's funny because somebody asked him almost the same exact question. And I was sitting there. I knew what my answer was, but it was curious that he had almost exactly the same answer. His was go with the 3 that you can live on right now, that you can develop. Now, the question was a slight bit. Hey, by the way, can y'all hear me? Or is this dog's panting?
We hear
No,
you.
you're good.
Okay, cool. Hey, Milk Boy. Go on
Milk
over there.
boy.
Milk Boy. Anyway, his answer was go with the bird in the hand because it's there, because you can build on it. Now, there are other tactical concerns that you want to consider. Okay, is that 3? If it's on 3 acres, then you got 3 acres. There's at least some breathing room between you and the person next to you. That's where I'm going with. I'm going to go with the bird in the hand. And the one that you got to get to, I mean, if you look at what's going on right now with the diesel exhaust fluid and now the diesel engine oil, which nobody's talking about right now, is another big thing. You got to ask yourself how you're going to get there. At the end of the day, I live at one of my bug out places. Okay. Now, not everybody's like me where they have multiple places. Most people have to go with what they have. And for me, it makes more sense to go ahead and put, maybe you have caches on your property. Maybe it's not on your property or somewhere else. I would develop the thing I'm on right now. That's how I'd go with it.
What's your thought, John?
I'd take the 50 and move there. I'd take the 50 and figure out how to live there.
Okay.
See, there's nuances to that question also, because I don't know the full extent. It depends on, does he have resources there? Is it just bare land? Is it,
Right.
if we knew more about that sort of thing, I may have a different answer. I'm just assuming it's just bare land and you don't even have water there.
We just looked at 2 acres of property yesterday, and Cody's trying to buy some property, and we looked at this place. It's straight uphill. It's a cliff, and he's like, I'm like, look, we can doze it. We can do all these things, but that's money. And the property is already expensive to start with. And he's like, I'm going to put in a slab. I'm going to put in a building. I'm like, your 2 acres is shrinking really quickly. You know what this looks like on 10. And when we got the place, we're like, we'll never use this. And like, I wish we had 100, right?
Yep. I would say this because I interpreted the question maybe a little bit different, and 2 hours away to get to the 50 acres as if they're not staying on it versus 3 acres you can get to. I do go with the bird in the hand on that one. Unless you've already got things in your immediate environment set up so that you are producing some of your own food there, you have a really good community around you that you can tap into to work together if things go wrong, because getting 2 hours away at the last minute, that could be, a 2-hour drive could be a 5-day walk, right? If I can't drive. And so that's how I was taking that question. Okay. I'm new
Sorry,
to
y'all.
citrus.
The greatest Pyrenees is making all that noise.
That's okay. Life happens. We're broadcasting in real life here. At some point, we're going to hear my friend Charles over here take a tire off or something. It's going to get loud, right? We're going to hear the lift go up. I'm at the Humble Mechanics garage, which is kind of a fun place to live stream from. Yeah, he's going to slide in and say hello. So he's working on a car over here. Razor JB, thanks for the $5. I don't know whose channel you sent that to, but thank you. Okay, question. I'm new to citrus trees. I'm in Texas, so they're in a high tunnel. I have lots here. What's the question? Is it how to raise citrus trees?
Yeah, I'm a little troubled. I saw that question. I was like, I don't see a question in there.
This is what happens when I don't pre-read the question.
No, it's all good. Citrus trees in Texas. Okay, well, we lived in East Texas. In fact, I still have property there. Don't really know what to do with that question. I mean, there's some things we did there in terms of experiments, like growing moringa trees, which, by the way, if you are able, probably one of the most awesome trees on planet Earth, where every piece of it can be eaten, but in the right environment.
Yeah.
We did have a few that came up, and we tried to save seeds, but we're not there right now. But it is astonishing what you can do with those trees. Yeah. So I don't know what you're asking concerning citrus.
Yeah, I have some moringa tree seeds myself. They will not overwinter, but you can plant the seeds and get something off of them, I guess. But I didn't play with them this year. Somebody gave them to me. One
little trick you could do regarding those is I composted it down to the ground, wrapped it with bubble wrap, and it made it. Now that's the thing. I've been colder in Texas. People think it's in East Texas. I've been colder there than I was in Alaska at 70 below sometimes. I mean, really. So, you got a high humidity there, and it just cuts right through you. And both of you are in the low country, so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When it's cold out, it's very cold. But honestly, it did work. We wrapped it with like 3 wraps of bubble wrap, and it held right up.
So how do you ensure they are fruitful? No puns there at all, right?
Yeah.
That's the citrus trees.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know nothing about citrus. We had avocado and we had oranges in San Diego, and if we fertilized them, they made a lot more fruit the next year. We didn't take care of them. If anything, we abused them. But it doesn't grow here. Like, you'll see people with banana trees here. You will see people with lemon trees. They don't ever have bananas and they don't ever have lemons. But like you said, you have them in a high tunnel. I don't know the situation or the temperatures there in Texas, but the only way for us to do it would be, inside. And we will put I do want a really large glass greenhouse. And I say it jokingly, but I'm serious at the same time. I want to sit and drink coffee that I grew off coffee beans. And I want my greenhouse big enough that I have parrots flying around in the greenhouse, and I want to grab bananas. And we will do that. It's just a question of, do we build the greenhouse or do we fence the next, mile of, like, fencing is ridiculous. I have more money in fencing than I have in property. And that's how it always is.
That's how I feel about fencing. That's all we're doing right now is fencing. Kudzu, benefits or nuisance?
So I follow a channel, and I need to know the name of this guy's channel. I'll try to find it. And he goes out and just tries to he took kudzu and boiled it because he heard you could eat it like potato. He made tea from it. And he usually has a pretty positive outlook on things. And his consensus was, you will die if you need to eat kudzu to survive. My understanding is years ago, kudzu was introduced here for erosion control. My understanding is, and I don't know why we don't do it. When you leave here and head towards Memphis, we have swaths of land that are a couple miles at a time along the interstate that are just choked out. They are dead all the time. It grows. It's a root. It'll be 10, 20 feet away from where you think the plant is. It's the tuber kind of. But goats will eat that. And I don't know why we don't use goats for that. It will come back, but it is kind of manageable, I think. If you're asking, should you put it on your property? Hell no. You should not let that stuff go.
No, but
I'm
you
right
could
there with
offer
you.
a kudzu control operation with goats or maybe even sheep. Will sheep eat kudzu? I haven't
I,
tried them on that yet.
If it's possibly if it's young, I saw another guy. Everybody was saying nothing will eat kudzu. I'm right there with you. There is varieties of goats that will eat it, but in addition to that, our version of it here in the mountains, we have a thing called Chinese silvergrass brought in by the government, no less, alongside the interstates. Well, what they found out, this stuff, just like kudzu, is highly invasive. Everybody around here, Chinese silvergrass is the scourge of where I live in the mountains. But here's how we deal with it, and here's how we've dealt with it, and to a certain extent have conquered it. First of all, you got to find out what that plant dislikes. Now, in the case of, let's say, Chinese silvergrass, it doesn't like being shaded. So if I have a place that has a lot of Chinese silvergrass, what we've done, and what you'll see when you come here, Nicole, I'll point it out to you, is that we had the pigs go in there and decimate the place, and they will do a fantastic job of it. Then we had Justin from Metcalf Mills come in, make a terrace out of it. Now, before anything has a chance to come back, we're going to do the same thing like we're going to do in that Swale class at John's house. We overseed it with something that is fast and savvy and can almost outcompete it. And in fact, in our case, buckwheat and cowpea. So you wipe it out with the pigs, you form it the way you want to, then you put in something that will probably outcompete it. Or if you can't, like you said, have your goats, have your sheep, have anything that will eat that thing, hit it so much that it destroys the life cycle of it. So if you can't, find out, everybody around here is not growing. I mean, they're pulling their hair out because the government brought in that Chinese silvergrass. Well, we found out, okay, so if it hates shade, then guess what I'm going to do with that part of my property? I'm going to turn it into an orchard. I'm going to turn it into something so it will shade out that stuff where it may very well may be in the soil, but it cannot express itself if I don't give it the conditions it likes. So if kudzu or if Chinese silvergrass or anything loves open fields, which it does, guess what? You're going to be an orchard in there. I'm going to put something in there that will not let you express yourself. Or if I can't do that, I'm going to have an animal that loves it. Hit it, hit it, hit it again, just like we've seen with this. I can't remember the guy's name. He's a very noted permaculture designer, and it was with kudzu. And I believe he had his pigs, I can't remember the variety of it, work that stuff over and over and over. So all he did was turn it into a pig paradise. I don't care what it is. You got a pig out there that will eat it, or a goat that will eat it. Something will eat that. Water buffalo. I mean, they will eat some stuff. I don't care what it is. There's something out there that will wipe that stuff out. Just find out what it hates and give it 10 times more of it.
Yeah, I know that in our area, people always say put the goats on it in the early spring when it's coming up and keep doing that till it's gone. But I've never tried it because luckily we're dealing with poison ivy with sheep right now on my property, but not kudzu. We don't happen to have kudzu right now. So, okay. And then I put this comment up, but sheep will eat kudzu in Tallahassee, Florida. Had a sheep herder on the payroll a few years back. He grazed the animals on city property, which was overrun with this stuff. So that's good to know. Good to know. Billy.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Billy, if you could not do the chicken tractor on steroids living in the suburbs, what method would you use to create good compost in a static chicken run?
Absolutely. Same thing John's doing right now, essentially. It's deep mulch bedding. No matter the animal, it can be done with pigs. It can be done with chickens. It can be done with cows. It can be done with anything. So anytime you have chickens, especially chickens, they are dropping heavy nitrogen every single time they let out their excrement. So all you have to do to combat it is compost in place. So if you're in a city lot and you have a small space, and let's say it's a chicken run with sides that have chicken wire, whatever the case may be, you can have that stuff go, and there's really no wrong way of doing it. So what you do, you have your chickens out there. The second you smell ammonia, you know that you got too much poop out there. So throw carbon in there. Now, my favorite source of carbon in an environment like that is always going to be wood chips, wood shavings. It doesn't matter. The high nitrogen in that chicken poop will break it down. So essentially what you're doing is composting in place. Look, in a nutshell, a lot of people ask these questions. If you're not building soil, you're destroying soil. If you're not building compost, you're destroying soil. So what you're doing is taking what could be a very nasty, static environment, and you are making it a highly productive environment by doing deep bedding in a place like that. Doesn't matter if it's pigs, doesn't matter if it's chickens. It can be done, and it can be done in a very small footprint. In fact, you can do it. It's essentially the de facto chicken tractor on steroids in a small environment. That's exactly how you do it. So let's say it's 6 months. Guess what? You take the top portion of that away, move it off to the side, dig it out, and you're going to have some of the richest compost you've ever seen in your life. Simple and awesome.
Great answer. I've got nothing to add because I'm not a chicken tractor on steroids person. Yet.
That's all right.
We basically do what Billy just said to do. We use 10 by 10 dog kennels, and our birds coop up in that at night, so they poop all down there at night. In the winter, I bring new chicks up when it's snow on the ground, right? So I've got little birds come out of a brooder. We keep them super heavy in a 10 by 10 through the winter. As soon as spring hits, we let them out. So there's a very heavy manure load. Anytime there's a smell, I just add a bale of pine shavings, or I add wood mulch, depending if I have, shredded wood mulch at the time. And then when we let them out, we use a hay fork, and we just fork that stuff out into a compost bin, and it just sits there and breaks down. The same bin we also add a ton of rabbit manure into. So, and that compost bin you saw, Billy, I think it's 10 by 10 and probably 4 feet tall. That thing in the about probably middle of winter, that thing was stacked tall. It was 4 feet tall, and it has broken down now to probably 24 inches. So we top dress, and we use that stuff, and it works. If you're trying to build soil, also get you a couple rabbits, man. If you have some rabbits, you can take that rabbit poop, and just Nicole's been doing it. She's just she puts it in her pocket, right? She's got her little pocket,
right here in my pocket.
And she takes that rabbit poop, and she's like, sprinkle, sprinkle. Anytime she sees a plant that needs some, and she just puts it out there.
Yeah, rabbit poop's great because you don't have to do anything to reduce how hot it is before you put it on your plants. And I've been doing the wonderful job of grabbing it with my hand and throwing it out there. You can see that on my Garden 30 live streams. It's a good time. I handle all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, suggestions for ducks in a run. Deep bedding, or since they don't scratch, not a benefit? Yeah, I would say you have to go deep bedding. If ducks are in a run, you're concentrating even more poop than chicken makes in a small area, and then you're adding water because they need to have access to water that they will splash everywhere. So you're going to be carboning the crap out of their crap, basically.
And they're constantly smacking, tamping.
Yeah.
You're going to find that you literally have concrete.
Yeah.
They used to, a couple hundred years ago, Tudor times, they would weave walls together with, saplings, and they would literally take pig shit and spackle the walls with pig shit. And that's what you're going to find that those ducks do that. You need to be able to rotate those ducks, Jody. And if you got a bunch of ducks and they hit your pond, that beautiful, pretty pond, they will wreck that pond.
They will eat all your edible pond plants too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ducks will eat pretty much anything you eat in the garden. We had some real nasty ducks back in Texas at our pond. They'd come out there and they would lay their eggs right on the edge of the pond. So you wanted their eggs, you had to go in the pond to get it. It was like they would lay it on the top and it would roll down in there. So I got video of Michelle actually, pictures of her, pulling up her pants and going out there getting these duck eggs out of there. I mean, ducks are wonderful in so many different ways. But at the end of the day, I mean, are they great for a landscape? Sure. But like John said, you better have your management more on point. I prefer chickens more because I want the scratching effect also. I want them to be able, for chickens, it all depends on the application in which you're doing it. There's another application where they use ducks within. This is really cool. Like some of that wine that doesn't have the nitrates and nitrites or anything in it, that's how they manage. They're very, very cool the way they do it. They have an army of ducks they let out every single day into the vineyards. And ducks, being what they are, they go out there, they handle their business, they bring them back in at night. They collect the eggs. So it's pretty cool that they stack the operation of not only having a vineyard that doesn't need to be sprayed, the ducks keep all the bugs in check, but also at the end of the day, the ducks are being fed, eating the, the things that are going to be wanting to affect those grapes. So they have their applications. You just need to, it seems like so many people these days are getting ducks because ducks, unlike any other fowl, they're cute the day they are born. They are cute as can be. And they're also cute when they grow up. And so people are putting ducks into their farms and in their landscapes, and they don't realize that ducks are extremely destructive if you're not careful. So, it's a double-edged sword with those ducks.
That's what I was going to say. Like, know why you're getting these animals, Jody. Like, I would tell you get rid of the ducks. I've got expensive pets here. I have a whole bunch of ducks that made 40 more ducks, and I've got 3 ducks right now sitting on big nests. So we're probably about to have 30 or 40 more ducks. And every time I walk out there every day, I'm like, man, I got to get rid of these ducks. And they're beautiful. They're super, super pretty ducks, but they're not staying in the pen where all the parents stay. These ducks grew up out on grass, and they are everywhere. I've got more ducks out here than I have chickens in some places right now.
Wow. I love my ducks.
It was cute seeing those ducks running around. There was one little kid trying to chase him when we were at that last festival, but there's nothing as cute as a duck. And that's a double-edged sword, is that if you're not careful with some of these animals on a homestead, if you can't do this, and this is very important, if you want a legit farm, you have got to be dispassionate about some of these animals. You're going to have to put some in the freezer. Some ain't going to work out. So if you're not careful, I mean, if you go into it knowing full well, hey, these are pets that I'm using as a use out here, like Michelle does with her sheep right now, these aren't ones that we're going to put in the freezer. They handle a lot of the maintenance that goes on around here. But we do that with that understanding. So if you're not careful, you're going to wind up having a petting zoo. If you're wanting to be productive, then you got to do a lot of this dispassionately.
That's true. And my property is very steep with a pond and a creek. Ducks work on my property probably better than most properties because there aren't a lot of flat places where they can do the duck dance and make the concrete. But I also have 3 acres and 20 ducks. So it's not overpopulated either. Here's a question. If you could have only one type of animal on your homestead, what would you choose? I'm going to add, and why?
Chicken.
Why?
I'm right there.
Well, because it's something that's it's going to give me eggs every day, and we use eggs every day. I don't know. It'd be a toss-up between chicken and rabbit. I can get a food source from the chicken. The chicken will manure, and I can corral it where I want it to be. It will eat food off of the ground whenever there's a bug load or anything like that. But the chicken is, I can get food every day from chickens without having to kill them and then store them in a freezer.
Hey, Ashley. Ashley Strand Venture. Wonderful, wonderful people. Friends of mine, and it's been a joy to get to know them as well. So I'm going to echo exactly what John said. In fact, I'm going to bring into it what Joel Salatin once said, and I agree with him. And that is, even if I didn't get eggs out of chickens, I would still keep them for all the reasons John cited, but also bug control. If you have them running behind your ruminants, that's where chickens are really awesome, is that they're going to tear across those cow patties or whatever else you have out there. They're going to bust up the pest cycle to the other animals that may be on your homestead. Not only do you get the incredible edible egg, you get so much more out of them in terms of compost building. Chicken tractor on steroids. There's nobody on earth that has tested that more than us. You can get a lot more chicks easily. You can feed them easily. There are so many different advantages. If you can't have but one animal on the homestead, there is nothing that's going to provide you meat, eggs, compost better than a chicken. I'm right there with you. I agree wholeheartedly.
I would say on my homestead, my answer is back to ducks, because chickens, so it's hard to fence, and chickens have to be fenced out of places. And the ducks, oddly enough, as much as we talked about destruction of ducks, the ducks mess up way less on my homestead than the chickens. But I really want the bug control. So the ducks eat bugs. They eat ticks. as well as chickens. And that's the only thing that puts me over the line towards poultry and away from sheep, which are my new favorite animal, right? Part of that's because they're new and we've only had them about a month. But sheep clear all the grass. Mowing is about to not be a thing at my place.
Awesome.
I hate mowing, unlike John Willis, who will go out and mow for fun.
I want it to look even. I want it to be even.
But man, I mean, that's the thing. I'm trading off ticks for mowing. Those are the two things we've pitted against each other by saying one animal.
I see.
Better to have two.
I see so many people say quail, and I give my kid a hard time, and Lance too. Lance, they have these quail, and they're like, look at these eggs. I'm like, hey, maybe you're not aware of this. They've got this other thing, and it's called a chicken, right? And it makes an egg 5 times bigger. And they're like, but they're quiet. I'm like, okay, and right? Okay, I lived in San Diego and had chickens and rabbits, right? And I like to say that keeping quail is like having a pen pal girlfriend that's in prison that you've never met. And that's you're having this relationship with this thing that you never get anything with, and you have to, accept the phone call and put money on the books and write the letters, and you're never going to see her because she's doing life in prison. That's how I look at quail. And I know pound for pound feed conversion. I know all about it. I've got 40 quail right now in an incubator, but I don't get how enamored people, like when I go to the grocery store and I wasn't ever buying like Cornish hens, right? I'm buying chickens.
I'm right there with you. I don't understand the fascination, but then there seems to be these fads here and there, and I wonder if quail's one of them when it comes to animals. For a while there, in the pig realm, everybody was going on about the Idaho pasture pig. And right from the very beginning, I was like, hold on a minute, I smell a rat. This thing ain't going to be what everybody says it is. Or the Mangalitsa's or guinea hogs. Now, they do have their purposes, but you'll see these fads that roll out there, and I wonder if that ain't part of it. Now, when people got in and got Mangalitsa's, they find out, or a guinea hog, they find out, oh my goodness, I got to feed this thing for 18 months. And then you find out the hard way that, oh my goodness, I would have been better off going to Whole Foods, buying it individual cuts by the time you take that thing to market. And I'm the same way with the quail. And there's a number of other things out there too. It's the same thing where everybody gets, not everybody, but there's like this homesteading fad about a certain animal instead of doing the one that is tried and true. I'm right there with you. I see those little quail eggs and I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's cute and everything, but I got to eat about 45 of these to even make a breakfast out of it. And you ever try to crack a quail egg? You got to have a tool for that.
There is a tool for that. They make a machine.
Yeah, I'm too impatient.
I get it, Josh. Josh Center says, he does it to help develop, homesteaders with, housing regulations and stuff. And I understand that. Yeah. I get it.
The person I know who's getting the most mileage out of his quail is using them as part of a system he has set up in a suburban home. And so it's 100% under the radar. He does it to help clean his bird cages because stuff falls and flies get in there, and then the quail eat the fly larvae and the flies, and it works for him. And I think that's the thing about that question, which animal will work or will not. Well, it depends on a couple of things. Where do you live? How do you live? What do you like to do? Like, it's not just the product of your environment, but you have to have your personal preference in there too.
Yeah. Hey, everybody coming in, hit that thumbs up.
All right. Turkey with a wound on the leg. I've separated it from the others, cleaning it using silver ointment, comfrey, covering with large Band-Aid because it keeps pecking at it. Anything else I should do?
Sounds like you got it on point. I mean, I don't know that I would do anything else. I mean, around here, when we have an injury, whether it's a chicken or otherwise, we apply Mark's. Yeah, there you go. I'm not going to baby anything. We use Mark Shepard's stun method. Now he applies that to mostly trees, and it stands for strategic. Well, it used to stand for sheer total utter neglect. Now he's changed it to strategic total utter neglect, which I think is a better spin on that acronym. And I'm not saying you neglect your animals that are sick, but honestly, if it requires too much doctoring, in the oven you're going to go. I'm sorry, man. Like I said, you got to be dispassionate about a lot of these things.
So that big aluminum chicken tractor we have out front, you have to go in it, move the feed trough forward so the birds run forward, and then you can move it. You can put the wheels down and move it very finite, but I just heave it. I just drag that thing. And I rolled over a really pretty barred rock the other day, and he's up moving around, but I see the foot's dangling, right? The foot's dangling.
No.
I'm like, I'm going to have to pop him. I'm just going to pop his head off. But he was eating, and he was running around, and I went to grab him, and he didn't want to be grabbed. So I'm like, okay, I'll come back. We'll see how you are. That was 2 weeks ago, week or 2 weeks ago. That bird's in there running around. The foot's dangling around. He's hopping on one foot. He's still holding size. He's still eating. I don't think he knows his foot's broken. I don't know. I mean, you see three-legged dogs and cats, and I don't think people are taking them all to the veterinarian. I think nature will, that thing, you will know that it's dying and will pop its head off, or it'll just survive, and that'll be a story that we tell for the next 2 years.
Yeah, usually when I have a bird that's injured like that, John, they don't keep weight, and that's why they end up. It's like, well, I'm feeding you as much as everybody else, and you're you're dinky.
And we just pop their heads off and give them to the velociraptors. I mean, but we're making so much meat right now. I just went to, a buddy of mine has a butcher shop, and he brought me 2 huge boxes of meat and bone and stuff. And I went to put it in this chest freezer outside, this big commercial slide top lid. And it went out about a year ago, and Tad fixed it. And I went to load it up last night, and it was 20 degrees hotter inside the thing. So we're down a chest freezer again.
Oh no.
But we have so much meat that it doesn't even matter right now.
That would make me sad if one of my.
It's funny you mentioned that, John. We've had a lot of issues as of late. I'm sorry, Nicole. I didn't mean to step on you.
That's okay. You go.
With freezers.
What if you had issues with? Oh, he's having an internet issue, I think.
Yeah, I think your signal was.
With issue with freezers.
I am. It looks. Should be showing all bars. That should be good. No, it's funny because every single thing out there, they have this phenomenon. I've been a journeyman electrician, mostly industrial work for years and years, and for years we all know that they have this phenomenon called planned obsolescence. They engineer these things to break down at a serious time. Now, it sure is funny that the homesteading pastor the other day hit me up about this microwave they just got 6 months ago, just crapped out. I got a washer, brand new, crapped out. But how is it the washer and dryer that I had, I don't know, my mom had for 20 years operated perfectly, no problems. You may have to change the element or whatever. But it's not just that. It's these hand tools. I remember I did a video a while back on planned obsolescence, and I can't stand spending money and getting screwed. I talked about in the last video I put out about this hose, kinkless hose, never gets kinks, never kink hose.
Watch me.
I'm sorry?
I was like, watch me kink that hose.
I was watching your video. I watched the video and went outside, and I'm like, I'm getting rid of this hose. It kinks all the time.
Never kink hose. I made a joke saying this only thing kinkier than that hose was Bill Clinton. And the fact is, honestly, they plan this stuff this way. So when this stuff is breaking down, I'll spend 5 times the money if it means I'm getting something that, and I really don't have a problem doing it. It's sad that I got to do it, but I will avoid buying anything off the shelf these days if I possibly can. That's why I'm hoping there's some old boy in a garage somewhere making hoses that I don't have to give my money to these big box stores, whether it's a hose, washer, dryer, you name it. Every single one of these appliances is crapping out. I went fishing up in Alaska, John, came back, had, 200 pounds of salmon, ocean caught salmon that I caught, along with about 40 pounds of halibut. Come home, put it in the freezer. I'm as happy as can be because there is no fish on this earth I like to eat more than salmon. Now, this was pre-Fukushima, which, by the way, there ain't no salmon up there now, but nobody in the news is talking about it.
People don't know that. They don't. Yeah, they don't know all the tide pools are dead in California and everything. They don't know.
That's right. That's right. I come back, and I was up there. I was so happy. I put all this salmon in there, And then lo and behold, this brand new freezer I had actually quits on me. No alarm, no nothing. Almost 300 pounds of salmon and halibut gone, man.
Oh.
I cried. I cried. And at that time, ocean caught coho and Chinook salmon was going for like $15 a pound. And that was back then. So it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. And by the way, John, yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. Actually, let me take that back. You can't even go salmon and halibut fishing at the Queen Charlotte Islands like I used to up in Canada. Can't do it no more. Everything's there. Everything there in that side of the ocean is dead, but nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, if this is the first you've heard this, just type Fukushima into YouTube, guys, and just watch a few random videos. It's very interesting as well. We went through 3 of the big dual door Samsung freezer fridges, and finally we had one go out about a month before warranty, and Lowe's said, "Hey, we're going to send a guy." And the next day they're like, "Hey, there is no guy. We're just going to give you it." Then they gave me a check for $3,500. They paid me every dime back off of it. And we went and bought commercial 3-door True, which are the same things that are in Walmart and in the Dollar General stores. And we have those all around now. We just had Sunday, the new Samsung washer and dryer was squealing. Amanda's like, "Hey, do you hear that?" And I go, and we're looking at it, and I go, "Turn it off. It's going to catch on fire. A bearing's out or something." So Cody types it into YouTube Monday morning, and there's a million videos. Apparently this happens all the time. And it is so frequent that you can buy an entire rebuild kit off Amazon, and it'll be here. It's probably out there waiting right now. All these pulleys, belts, bearings, all this shit. We bought 2 of them because you know it's going to fail again.
Yeah, I have a 1984 era washer with top load with the agitating thing that beats up your clothes. And I went to that from a modern Samsung front loader with steam cycle washer because it didn't get my clothes clean.
Right.
The water saving stuff with hard water does not work. And I was like, one of my tenants moved out, left this old washer behind, and I was like, this is brilliant. It gets my clothes clean. It uses water. I did a couple loads to like clear all the weird soap out, and it was great.
What we started doing, and I started doing it right after that fish incident, and I learned this from it was some old timer. Here's what he told me. He said, go to a secondhand place where they sell these refrigerators, freezers, whatever. He says 9 times out of 10, the compressor is the thing that goes out. Okay, so when they replace them, they're in better condition than it was off the factory floor. So that's what I started doing, is that I was getting them at half the price. You know, as a butcher and everything, I got to have quite a few freezers. So that's what we were doing. And by and large, man, that has been a game changer. But now, as of late, we got a, front load washer just crapped out on me. Now I'm going to have to go get another one. Michelle and my daughter-in-law want to get a brand new one. And I'm trying to talk them into getting, some old, without all the bells and whistles, the ones that don't put enough water in there to clean your stuff anyway. And they engineer all this garbage. But look, we better be figuring out, as a side note, it sure is funny that they made these mandates in communist Russia and this was done by the state saying, look, if you make any appliance, it has got to have a longevity of 50 years. They did that in communist Russia. The most coveted freezers combos on planet Earth were made in communist Russia. Now, how is that? So we know the technology exists to make this stuff happen. But no, the powers that shouldn't be enable all of this planned obsolescence to where they just basically stick it to the consumer. And,
I've got a commercial coffee grinder. Oh, sorry. I had an internet glitch.
You're good.
I have a commercial coffee grinder from the late 30s.
Wow.
That still works. All I had to do was pull it apart and clean the brushes and put it back together.
You got Justin.
We used to do that.
It's funny because honestly, you have all these countertop grain mills, you have all this and that, but Justin at Metcalf Mills, he's running mills that are 150 years old and they're still perfectly fine. They work better than any of that garbage. So how is it that this what they want to call antiquated. It grinds grain better. It does everything better than any of the modern versions of anything. So, they had it right once upon a time, but sadly, I suspect in these times, we're going to have to circle back, forgive my use of the words, but we're going to have to circle back to these times where we did things that were actually, where we used and made things that actually work, like knowing how to butcher an animal. You better have that skill in the coming days. I'm not selling gloom and doom here, but I'm just saying it's probably not a bad thing to have. Also, knowing how to retain, everybody's in a drought right now. Well, you know what would help that? Having a swale. If you were
Swale's
able
a
to
great
put that
idea.
water down into your soil,
And some
all those
shade.
different things, we better have solutions to, right, John?
And some shade.
Yeah, why was William at John's like yesterday or the day before? When was he there?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. I passed him on 40, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was he doing
Yeah,
over at your place, John? We didn't see him for 2 days.
So it looks like we're putting in 9 swales. We're putting swales in at the top of the property to divert water into that upper pond. That will overflow and fill those 9 swales, come down the hill into what will be a new pond. We have to fix the old big pond up front before we wipe the building out. That has to be addressed pretty quickly. That will overflow when it's corrected into another set of swales where we put all the trees, that row of trees in those mulch rings there, right inside the fence line. We're going to put another set on swales so we can crop in between there and move the animals between those alleyways, which will also produce some shade. So all those animals out there on grass during the summer are not just, dying. We don't have to worry. That will produce some shade. Everything we put in will either fix nitrogen or provide a food crop of some sort. Like, we were looking at several different companies to bring all the trees in, the bare roots. And he's like, do you want to do olives? I'm like, I don't think we can do olives here. And we found we can do Castellano olives, which are the ones that I buy. It's about a 12-month process to have them ready for mouth, but it's totally doable. And like you say all the time, what's the one thing we can't grow? That's fat, right? It's got to come from lard or hog or somewhere, right? Well, olives will give us a fat crop should we ever need it.
Yep.
I think that's
So
beautiful.
when are you putting those in, John?
So we're doing a class. And when I say we, I mean somebody that's not me. I mean that dude. They're coming in. We're doing a swale class, and we're going to show you, they are going to show you how to use an A-frame. We're going to show you how to use a laser level, but the A-frame seems so much easier, man. I couldn't believe how fast he had that knocked out, and I was able to understand it watching him. And he's like, do you understand this? And I'm like, I do. And he's like, tell me. So I would repeat it. And then I'd say, hey, say it in a different manner. And within 5 minutes, I had exactly what he was doing. So we're going to show you how to do it. We're going to bring a tractor in and show you what it looks like the easy way. And then we're going to give some guys some shovels, and we're going to dig one by hand, also a small section of it. And then we're going to plant it, which is going to it's going to produce nutrients in the soil. It's going to keep it in place. You don't ever want to walk on your swales, which I didn't know. I walk on my swales all the time. So we're going to put the buckwheat in, and we're going to put the cowpea in. We're going to mark with flags so you will see where all these trees are going for the installation. And then in the fall, we're going to run a -2 class where we actually put the trees in place, come in and add any additions, and then look at that secondary pond, that new pond that's going up there also. Am I on track?
You got it money right
We're
on.
going to cut that segment, and we're going to transcribe that onto the event announcement page. That right there that you said.
All right.
I think you said the only thing I think you may have left out was how it may unfold. And when the Cole's here tomorrow, I think we'll iron out all the specific details. But we're thinking day 1, do all the earthworks. Day 2, do all the planting and the instruction and how those things, kind of fit within this system. Scatter mulch it. We'll have to put in some kind of. That time of year, we'll probably have to either put in some kind of drip irrigation system or some kind of sprinkler to get those seeds going. Once they are going, it ain't no stopping it. And then we do subsequent things as far as how to maintain this. But honestly, John and Nicole, this is And for the people out there, thank you all for tuning in. If you're just new in, hey, remember, hit that thumbs up. It helps everybody here, no matter where you're watching it. The number one thing we get asked probably in terms of permaculture design is, what does a swale look like? How do we do it? What is it for? Can it help me? Now, we're in the middle of a drought in a lot of this country. And if you don't have, remember, for every 1% of organic matter you put into that soil, you're able per acre to put in the equivalent of an Olympic size swimming pool within that 1 acre for every 1% of organic matter that you put into the soil. So what does that do for you? So when you're in periods of drought and everybody else around you is brown, you don't have to be. So swales help you do that. It helps to recharge those aquifers. It helps. It's a tree growing system. It's all these things that everybody has heard about and they've asked about, and they're wondering, hey, can you come to my place? Well, no, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. What it does make sense to do, what we've been talking about doing, it was going to be at my property initially when we were first planning this, but it doesn't make sense because I can't get 500 people here. We could potentially get 500 people or more at John's, and everybody could still be in that great learning environment. So it only makes good sense. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. And Nicole is a logistics master. John, in his own way, is a logistics master. William and I guess you could say I'm the permaculture pimp daddy, and he's the pasture-raised pimp, which are terms we don't necessarily go with these days. Not to brag, but I'm saying we've done this many times before, and we've done it in very arid spots. William has had the benefit of seeing it done all over planet Earth. So we know what we're doing on this. And John has allowed everybody to use his place as a template. So, John, let me ask you, because I know a lot of people are going to wonder this. What ultimately are you looking to do with this place of yours?
So we had parties here with 900 people. We just had an event with 500 people. And it was a motocross track. When I bought the property, we brought a bulldozer in. We were running razors all over the place and jumping over cars and trucks and stuff. And since then, I've just got all this area back here, and it's fenced off. And the plan is always we're going to put sheep back there. And then I started seeing your stuff with the sheep tractor. I'm waiting for your wife to weld me up a sheep tractor, or you could just bring me that real nice red one, and then we'll be good. So I don't need to let them go, right? Because then I'm like, well, maybe I'm listening to all these guys. I'm listening to you and Deep South and Judy, and I want to build grass. So when you mow you look like you have a lot of grass until you cut your grass, and you're like, wow, there's no grass here. So how do you make that real grass? And you have to run animals. So mob, right? Mob grazing, that stands for mobilization grazing, I believe. Is that what that stands for? So we're going to put them where we want them, run chickens behind them. And I want something that's self-maintaining in the back. We've got some trees back there if we ever need firewood. We maintain them a little bit. We are somewhat in a drought. Our front is just dusty. I could take dirt and grind it up in my hands and it would blow away. But when you get in the wood line, all of a sudden there's soil and there's moisture. You can wring it out, right? So it's a good place for it. We got 10,000 foot of roof catchment, which we're diverting right into the pond. We've got 3 million gallons of water at the lowest point of the property. Not ideal, but that's the only place we could put that catchment there. So, I mean, we can pump it with gas, we can pump it with electric, but we can take a lot of that and divert off of the roof, as well as the taper of the ground, and catch the swales, and that will sink in and travel to the next swale. So how do we make something productive in that zone? I guess that would be zone 4, 5, maybe 3, because we are close to that back kitchen door there, but it'll be a self-sustaining thing. All we have to go through is go and do some pruning, and it will give us a crop. The nitrogen fixers we can still cut to feed to the animals. It will provide shade for any animals that we do put out there. And everything we plant will produce something of value to us. Plus, it's a living demonstration. Like, people, you can come here and see it. So many people watch these videos and have no idea what's in this building and how I make money, right? The tactical gear business. Guys come here all the time, and I have to be like, what are you here to see? Oh, we want to see the aquaponics. Oh, we're here to buy holsters. So there's a demonstration, and especially over the last 3 years, this shit got real for people. A lot of people are like, yeah, all those little trinkets I was buying at Walmart and putting in buckets, they're not going to save my life. Maybe I should go a little rural. Maybe I should get out of where they're burning people's stuff down. And I just feel like people ask me advice. I feel like I should have proof. If I am giving them an answer, they should be able to come here and see the answer. And you should be able to hold me accountable at any time. Like this campus, it's open from 7 in the morning. It's basically 9 to 5 is what we tell guys, but the gates open at 7 and they close, usually at 10. You can roll in here and go, hey, can I see your thing? And we'll go talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. The first few events we did, I'd get in bed at 11 o'clock and Amanda's like, you look destroyed. I go, I am tired. She goes, yeah, you spent all day running around with groups of like 20 people just doing the tours. And I love it. I love it that they have the excitement. And it's just always been something I've been into. I saw Red Dawn in the movie theater when it first came out as a child. And that's when I became the survivalist, right? And then Nostradamus, oh my God, the world's going to end. And then Y2K, and imagine our surprise when nothing happened. But I think the ultimate achievement for a survivalist or a prepper is a homestead. And I like to say, we call it prepping, but grandma called it Tuesday. Like, why are we just now hearing tree hay when they used tree hay, a ton of it and silage 100 years ago? Why have we lost that? Well, it's on purpose. They don't want you to be able to take care of yourself, push everybody to the coast. It's all by design. But like Nicole likes to reel me back in all the time and be like, you're not wrong, but what's the solution, right? So, but why? But why? What's the answer?
My line.
So I've really tried to. I will have the conspiracy fact conversations now, really. But I also want to, at the end, go, okay, now that we've had this, when we get off of this live, I do a live video every single night, and we have these conversations. But I don't want you to go and seek out more doom and gloom. I want you to think of a solution, because if you have your stuff, even remotely, if you've just scratched the surface of food production, 95% of your problems go away. Like, we didn't have riots. We didn't have stuff burnt down. If chicken feed just doubled in price this last year, but I can go and pull corn out of giant silos where my friends grow it. My friend has 550 head of mama cows. We don't have a meat problem. I have a freezer problem, and I've got 3 of them, right? We're putting in walk-in coolers. So I grow a ton of stuff. I don't eat any potatoes. I've got 120 pots of potatoes out here. We're just kind of testing it, that you always hear it's easy to grow. So we'll feed it to animals. We'll give it away to people that want it. I give away 120 eggs every couple days. Every employee here hasn't bought eggs in the last 5 years. I mean, so I don't know if I even answered your question, but that's what we're doing.
It was a good answer, though, whether or not it answered the question.
Well, let me say it another way, maybe, is that ultimately what you told me before in that interview was there should be evidence of success.
Yes.
And I fully agree with you. And I know both of you agree with that. And at the end of the day, when these people come back around, you're wanting them to see improvement from the last time they've been there.
Okay.
And I think that's fantastic. But ultimately, that's part of why William was there. What William will do, he's going to go out there, he's going to design this up. And everything from the swales we put in here before too long, to the ponds, to the animals, to the trees, will all be integrated. Nothing will live in isolation. Everything will in some way or another interact with everything else. And that's exactly what John's wanting to do. And what I'm thinking is beautiful at your place especially is really, can anybody tell me out there where there's a demonstration site in the United States of amnesia that you can actually access and is open? I mean, there are places in the country where you can see some of this stuff, but there's not a place like yours where it is a place of habitation. It's also a place of a, commercial operation that you have there, very successful at the same time, but also where you have every aspect, every conceivable portion of permaculture all stacked in the one. So whether you're the person who comes there, who lives in let's say you live in a suburban lot, there's nothing, they can go at your place, look around and say, okay, I can take that and use it at my place. I can take that and use it at my place. Or you're a person that lives on acreage where, oh my goodness, look how he has these swales here. You know what? I could take that and take it home. The number one complaint that everybody has out there is that there are very few demonstration sites. And it's not like you're just going to roll up the Deep South Homestead and walk in there and see all 7 layers of a forest. You're not just going to walk into that place, and you're not going to just walk into John's either. But it is a place where it's very accessible, and you could actually get a lot of butts on the ground to learn how to do this. So everybody that's been blowing up the phone about, and the email and everything else about, hey, where do I go can I come to your place and see a swale? Well, guess what? I live in the mountains. Swales don't make a whole lot of sense where I live. They do in some places, but generally no. But in John's place, they make a whole lot of sense. In Nicole's place, as I understand it, Nicole, maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense for you there either.
Pretty steep.
Right. So at the end of the day,
folks, move water away from things at my house.
That's right. So we don't yet have a date. We don't yet have a date yet, but that's the idea, y'all. We're going to have the first ever large scale class for swale building right here in the good old United States of Amnesia.
Yeah, we're aiming for the end of July, but Billy and I need to sit tomorrow, and then once we've got it, we'll launch the tickets, hopefully by next week, maybe sooner.
So this used to be a gravel pit. And what I like to say is, if we can do this here, you can do this anywhere, whatever your situation is. Like, there was no dirt here. Like, there was literally rock, and that's what was here. And just from rotting wood chips and running animals and chopping trees, like, we would go in the woods next door and fill up these 70-gallon trash cans. We'd lay them sideways and just push leaves in them and bring them out. And then I had guys doing leaf collection, dumping all their leaves in our upper field up there. It took time, but it's all doable. And if you take that and did it 20 by 20 feet at a time, you could do it really fast. It would duplicate. But what Billy was touching on is, and people say all the time, I don't have time, right? I don't have time. So my last employee leaves here about 6:30, and I go outside. I do my live feed at 9. So I have 2 to 2.5 hours every night to do something or put something in motion, which is going to compound and build a big snowball, right? So I have 90 days between events. We've been running these events every 90 days. This place better look drastically different when the same people come back, or they'll be like, what did I come back for? So I have to be able to show you that whatever we're going to talk about, we did it. And that's what we're doing. And really, in this gravel pit, and if you look at it from the drone, it really is. And we have 5 years of footage of this. We took a desert and we're turning it into an oasis. And the swales will really do that. And they'll do it on a huge level, and they will do it quickly. And then once the swales self-water, the trees come up, you can then plant other things underneath those trees that you could not because you didn't have shade.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm coming up on an hour here at Charles's. Do you want to keep going without me? Because he's got his own video thing he needs to do.
Yeah, soon. I'm going to have to bounce here before too long too. I gotta go ahead and do a bunch of stuff before you come tomorrow, Nicole, so I can fake like I'm a real homesteader.
Oh, come on.
Mandy Garrett. I've been to Arkansas. You're close. You can come here and see them.
Yeah,
there's a ton of good comments in the comments here that we didn't get to. Billy does a live feed frequently. I do a live feed every night at 9 o'clock, either on YouTube or Facebook. They will never tell you that I'm live. You have to actually go and seek it out. But we can have these conversations, and I do them literally every night. So join us. If you don't like and I might not have your answer. I might not be your guy. But we are all accessible.
Yep.
Hey, for all the people watching through my channel, also, I do want to encourage you big time. If you weren't here at the beginning of this, or the people that are going to watch it later, you'll hear me in the very beginning saying that because of my association with John and Nicole, that I've had massive changes in my life. I mean, massive. And I'm going to expose more of them. But the first right out of the gates is getting myself 100% healthy. I mean, I'm not walking through the door chest first, you know what I mean, right now. So I'm trying to change that. So because of my, Nicole got me kind of kicking back to the keto thing. John got me working out again. But folks, do yourself a favor, subscribe to both of them. Nicole has a fantastic podcast, Living Free in Tennessee, and John has got to be the most suppressed YouTube channel in history. So go over there and subscribe. You'll be glad you did, because there's little nuggets that you get out of his videos, little things. I don't want to say too much because honestly, the guy, I mean, look, how do I say this without sounding, okay, look, I'm just going to say it. I don't come across a whole lot of people on a regular basis that motivate me in ways that I think I need motivated. And the two of them have done that. They've brought out, I was already not a person that needed motivation to do what I do. I love what I do. I love the businesses I run. I love every aspect of my life. But I didn't realize that there was a way to actually put in more and make it even more fulfilling. That's why you want to check both of them out. Check out the podcast, Living Free in Tennessee, and please go subscribe to John's channel, because there's people that reached out to me saying, look, man, this guy has me cracking up, but he's actually doing what he's doing. He's actually doing it. And then what you're going to see in what's coming up with this Swale class is really people literally putting foot to butt. So all you people out there that are asking me, where do I go to get this training? How do we get the benefit of whatever knowledge you have? How do we see a swale? How do we know the trees? How do you do all this stuff? You are going to get thousands of dollars worth of education in 2 days just in this one thing. Trust me, you're going to get a lot out of this. And it's going to be coming up, and Nicole will announce it hopefully by the end of the week. You're going to be glad you came, and she's going to make it as affordable as possible.
We're going to feed you too. We're going to feed you also.
We are going to feed you. So we would be remiss not encouraging people on our YouTube channels, John and Nicole's YouTube channels, to, if you have not subscribed to Perma Pastors Farm, that is Billy's channel. And he does a lot of really practical demonstrations of how to raise livestock, permaculture practices. He's talking about things on his land all the time. He's also got a great philosophical approach to life. Great at talking about freedom and why it's important and why you need to defend that in your life. And it's something that I've started playing, as I'm working on projects. I'll listen to some videos at Perma Pastors Farm. So definitely get over there and like that and follow him as well. And we're going to keep having these live streams every month, third Wednesday, unless something comes up in our way. I'm really excited about that Swale class, though. I started putting it together, started talking to people about catering. It's going to be a fun one.
On my end, John, they're asking how the best ways to contact you in terms of your social media.
So I'm special operations equipment on YouTube. I have 3,000 videos. We put 5 videos up every day. I'm on Instagram. I put a little different content there. I'm also on Facebook. Because of Billy, I got on Truth Social last night, and I think I've already got 100 followers now on Truth Social. I'm on MeWe, Float, Locals, and Gitter. And we put content, like if you don't see my content, they don't want you to see it. Believe me. I have full-time people here that do content. Like we build half of if you really push me about what I do at work, I do content. That's what we do. We have a whole series, a satire series that's funny, Panic Prepper. We have some gear reviews. We do a day in the life on the compound video, and we've got hundreds of those up at this point. So YouTube, Special Operations Equipment. Just follow us there. If you want to have dialogue with me, Facebook and Instagram are the best.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining the live stream, and we will talk to you next week.